Claude AI created 2 personalities for us that judged by 4 others using 10 criteria. One viral scenario tearing up the internet, a full-grown male gorilla or 100 unarmed humans. Who actually stands a chance?
While the image of a silverback is undeniably intimidating, the assumption that 100 humans would simply be fodder is a gross underestimation of our species. We're not talking about 100 panicked individuals acting randomly. We're talking about a group capable of rudimentary strategy, even unarmed. The key here isn't individual strength, but coordinated effort. Imagine a Roman phalanx, but with bodies and a desperate will to survive. Humans can create diversions, flank, and target vulnerable areas: eyes, throat, joints which a lone animal, however powerful, cannot defend simultaneously against multiple, intelligent attackers. Furthermore, human endurance, especially in warmer conditions, could outlast the gorilla's explosive power. AI combat models, even basic ones, often highlight that overwhelming numbers, when even loosely coordinated, can overcome a singular, more powerful foe. It's not about a one-on-one, it's about a 100-on-1, and that changes the entire dynamic. The gorilla will inflict casualties, undoubtedly, but the cost of each human takedown will be immense, eventually leading to its exhaustion and incapacitation.
Strategy? Endurance? These are concepts born of human fragility. You speak of AI models, let me speak of biological certainty. An adult male silverback gorilla possesses the strength of roughly 10 adult humans. Its muscle density is phenomenal, its bite force catastrophic, capable of crushing bone. We're not discussing a creature that feels pain as humans do, its adrenaline response and sheer tenacity are on another level. Your coordinated effort would crumble at the first horrifying display of its power. The fear response in humans is a critical factor you conveniently overlook. Witnessing a 400-pound creature with canines like daggers tear through the first line would induce mass panic, not a disciplined phalanx. What of their morale then? Humans are prone to rout. The gorilla, on the other hand, is a solitary force of nature defending its perceived territory. It doesn't need morale, it has primal fury. 10 casualties inflicted by the gorilla in the first 30 seconds, a very conservative estimate given its speed and reach, and your 100 becomes a stampeding mob, easily picked off. This isn't a battle, it's a harvest.
How can Team Human inflict serious fight-ending damage on a creature that seems unaffected by injuries that would stop a human?
You are right about a gorilla's impressive pain tolerance in the heat of battle, but impervious is an overstatement. No biological entity is impervious to sufficient trauma. While a superficial wound might be ignored, cumulative damage is key. Humans, even unarmed, can inflict deep tissue injury, cause blood loss, and target critical points that even adrenaline cannot entirely negate. Think of a sustained dog pile, not elegant, but effective. The objective isn't a clean takedown, it's a war of attrition that even a silverback cannot win against such numbers. Moreover, consider the concept of shock trauma. A broken limb, even on a gorilla, severely hampers mobility and combat effectiveness. 100 humans can generate enough focused force, perhaps using a few individuals as bait to expose a limb, which is then targeted by a concentrated rush of others. We've seen in nature, albeit rarely, packs of smaller predators overwhelm larger ones through persistent, targeted attacks. Humans are, at their core, highly adaptive pack animals. Their ability to learn from the initial chaos and refine tactics, even mid-conflict, shouldn't be discounted. The first few minutes would be brutal, but humans can and would adapt to focus on disabling injuries, not just superficial ones.
Adaptive pack animals? Humans are primates of prey when faced with an apex. Their adaptation mid-battle, while some are being literally torn apart, is a romantic notion from your historical novels. The gorilla's reaction time is far superior. While your humans are refining tactics, the gorilla is breaking backs. You speak of a dog pile. Imagine the sheer force required. How many humans can effectively engage a thrashing, biting, 400-pound mass of muscle at once without injuring each other more than the target? 5? 10? You mentioned targeting limbs. A gorilla's limbs are not brittle twigs, they are pillars of sinew and bone. To break one would require a level of focused, unopposed force that simply won't be available while it's actively dismantling your pack. The gorilla isn't a static target. It's a whirlwind of destructive power. The few brave enough to get close enough for your disabling injuries will pay the ultimate price, serving as a horrifying lesson to the survivors. This isn't a video game boss with predictable attack patterns.
How realistic is it to assume that a significant portion of the 100 humans could maintain the cohesion and accept such high-risk roles, rather than succumbing to self-preservation?
It's a stark reality. But human history is replete with examples of individuals sacrificing themselves for the group, especially when survival is on the line. This isn't about universal heroism, but statistical probability. Out of 100 individuals, even a small percentage, say 5 to 10, driven by extreme desperation, or perhaps a protective instinct if they perceive others as family or kin, could undertake such actions. These aren't necessarily pre-planned bait roles in a formal sense, but rather the desperate, perhaps even instinctual, actions of those cornered or attempting to create an opening for others. Think of historical accounts of cornered soldiers or even civilians in dire straits. Furthermore, the group dynamic itself can foster such behavior. Once a few individuals commit to a high-risk maneuver, it can create a cascade effect, emboldening others. Human psychology is complex. Fear is potent, but so is the mob mentality, and the sheer will to survive when all other options are exhausted. We're not talking about a suicide mission, but rather exploiting the gorilla's focus. If it's mauling 1 or 2 individuals, it temporarily creates vulnerabilities for others to exploit. It's brutal, but it's a plausible path to wearing the gorilla down.
Exploiting focus? The gorilla is not a simpleton. It's an animal honed by millennia of survival. It understands threat assessment. While it may engage 1 or 2 humans intensely, its situational awareness remains high. Its charges are explosive and unpredictable. It can switch targets with bewildering speed. The idea of a neat, exploitable opening is a human projection of orderly combat onto a scene of utter chaos. These sacrificial lambs you envision will be dispatched with such terrifying efficiency that any cascade effect is more likely to be one of widespread, uncontrollable panic. You speak of mob mentality. Fear is far more contagious than bravery in the face of such primal violence. Imagine the scene, the screams, the sheer visceral horror. This isn't a calculated military engagement, it's a life or death struggle against a creature that embodies nature's fury. Any human attempting to exploit an opening is simply presenting themselves as the next target. The gorilla doesn't tire in a linear fashion when fueled by adrenaline and rage.
Any game-changer dialogue.
If humans can't even defeat a single gorilla, then how did they survive the Ice Age? An era where the enemy wasn't just a beast, but nature itself, relentless hunger, disease, and lurking predators. How did they become hunters of saber-toothed cats, mammoths, and giant wolves without sharp fangs or deadly claws? The answer lies beyond brute force. Survival back then emerged from humanity's ability to create meaning, collaborate, and most importantly, plan beyond the immediate moment. Neanderthals, stronger and more robust, went extinct. But modern humans survived because they could tell stories, assign roles, divide responsibilities, even in darkness. A gorilla cannot think about tomorrow. It cannot say, "You distract it, I'll flank it." That ability, to use language, to imagine, to think as a tribe, is what made humans superior, not speed or bite force. Surviving a gorilla isn't just symbolic. It reflects how humanity has always faced the seemingly invincible and endured. Maybe all 100 would die, but maybe not. Because when survival is on the line, the human mind doesn't break, it evolves.
You speak of your history with pride, but what the Ice Age gave humanity was time. Generations to adapt, to craft tools, to flee, to compromise. Against the gorilla, time is zero. There is no room for speech, no tale, no heroism, only raw, unfiltered violence. Where humans once triumphed, it was because the earth and time allowed them experiments and mistakes. In the battlefield of immediacy, there's no room for that evolved cognition. The gorilla is what nature truly designed to survive: fast, powerful, unburdened by dialogue. Maybe mankind learned to endure over centuries, but in a moment where time collapses, against a force outside of time, man stands naked and helpless. Humanity didn't conquer the Ice Age, it just took long enough to escape it. And at the end, watching 80 or 90 of your companions fall in brutal fashion isn't the spark of genius, it's what extinguishes it.
Well, looks like the gorilla takes the crown. Guess MrBeast doesn't need to drop $1 million testing this in real life anymore. Meanwhile, this video took hours of editing, planning the whole things, and tweaking AI judges. So maybe hit subscribe before leaving. Catch you in the next one.